I became involved with the History Project at the very beginning. I was on the board of directors when it was announced that they were going to begin this project and looking for people who might be interested. And because I felt the history of the farm home was long and storied and important, and it was the kind of work that appealed to me, I volunteered to join in the beginning. We spent well over a year in training before we even began to collect and preserve and catalog the items that are now in our archive.
I think history is important at all levels, and the farm home just always had a special place in my heart as I drove past, and then when they began construction to revive its history, that became an important role for me. And so it just joined and met some wonderful people and continued to hope that it moves forward for many years to come.
My name's Roger Lewis Hollinsworth. I was born in Myrtle Creek, Oregon, and I was about 5. And my mother kicked me out of a car down there and sent me a babysitter, and they moved away in the middle of the night. So I went home. 10 days later, the neighbor lady called the police and said that she saw me digging through the garbage cans for 4 or 5 days to get something to eat, and then she hadn't seen me in 4 or 5 days, so she knew that I'd be in there and dead. And if she hadn't called that day, I would have died that night. Anyway, when they found me, and I ended up coming to the Children's Farm Home, I literally thought I died and went to heaven.
Yeah, he talked a lot about this place. I grew up between Albany and Corvallis, so this has always been close. So every time we drove by, Dad would tell me stories about growing up here. And, you know, he had one of the most difficult childhoods of anyone that I've heard, and my heart broke for him.
Then I was at Marshfield High School, and I started drinking, and unfortunately I knew that I'd picked up my mother's habit and I knew I had not to do that. And so I asked to come back to the farm home. And then it had changed. There was a boy that was coming here for 6 months rehab, and I asked him if whoever's in charge, if I could come home. And 6 months later, he comes back and gives me a dime and says, he's waiting for you on the phone. I went down to the bus depot, called him, and he said, how long take you to get back? I said, well, I got everything on my back I need. And so he says, there's a bus in 10 minutes, get on it. And it was the best thing I ever did in my life, to come back here.
As an executive of nonprofits, and I had, as I mentioned, been an executive in a couple of them prior to the farm home one, we were always competing with one another for resources and financial resources and programs. And I just thought, along with several of us, why don't we merge these programs so they're not competing, that we can work together? That was a primary issue. And the executives at Waverly Children's Home and Perry Center were open, and their boards were open to that discussion. So we initiated the process, and it evolved and eventually into Trillium Family Services.
Hi, I'm Rich Blum, and I'm the retired Senior Vice President of Business Development and Provider Relations and Contracting. The most important change that I think has occurred over the last 45 years that I've worked for Children's Farm Home and Trillium Family Services is in the 90s, when we made the transition to a more medically based approach to treatment, and the hiring of some of the best child psychiatrists that are in the Pacific Northwest. And I think that really improved the quality of care and allowed us to be more effective with the kind of kids that we were receiving.
I'm Dr. Cindy Smith. I'm the co-chief medical officer for Trillium Family Services, and I've worked for the company 19 years. Corvallis and Albany are communities that hold kids front and center, and it's a fantastic place to make a difference for Oregon youth that have challenges. Over the 19 years I've worked for Trillium, I'm aware of myself more and more as a stepping stone that people can use on their paths to their own futures, clients, but as well my colleagues and employees.
I'm Amy McAdams Gettings, and I am the Vice President of Operations here at the Children's Farm Home. I've been here for 10 years. I think something the community doesn't know about how we work with children and families on the campus here in Corvallis is the love that we feel for the kids and for the families, the care that we provide. The staff that choose to work here choose it because it's a calling for them. Many of our staff feel like this is what they were meant to do. So there is a lot of love and compassion that goes into their everyday work.
Good evening, I'm Kim Scott, and I'm the Chief Executive Officer for Trillium Family Services, and have been for almost 20 years. When I think about the things that I'm most proud of about our organization, I guess I would kind of narrow it down to that we've been an adaptive organization that's been focused on, how do we show up in the best ways to serve the youth communities and families. And how do we help our staff, support our staff to show up and as their best selves in the work that we do? That being innovative, being adaptive, I think has equated to us being relevant in ways that kids and families and communities need us to be. And so that's an exciting part, I think, of who we are.
100 years is a major accomplishment, and it's also a major responsibility that we take seriously. I'm so proud to have the opportunity to serve this organization as we launch the next 100 years. We both look to the past and honor the past and launch into the future as we continue to evolve in relationship to community need, looking to deepen our partnership with kids and families as equal partners in treatment and deepen our relationships with our staff and leadership across this organization. I'm so excited for the next 100 years. And I realize that if someone is looking back on this from the year 21-22, I hope that we did it. I hope that we were able to more seamlessly integrate care into the community, and that we're still providing that essential safety net service for kids and families in major mental health crisis, but that we're able to more seamlessly do that in the community. I'm so excited for our future. I can't even wait. I'm proud to serve this organization and to see what the next 100 years holds for us.
One thing that I'm excited about when I think about the future for the campus here in Corvallis is that we're still here. A lot of mental health facilities, residential facilities are not, and it definitely feels like we are really centered around being innovative, changing, growing, being what our community needs, being what our clients need, and being what our families need.
If I think about the next 100 years, knowing that the farm home has been there for 100 years, making an incredible difference in the community, again, I would still focus on those next 100 years. How we'll look will reflect the needs of the communities that we serve, kids and families. And because we've built into this in our genes, I think, in our DNA, this adaptive, resilient, responsive organization that wants to be relevant, I think we will always be there for kids, families, and communities in the way that they need us to be.